Hey everybody. Um, this is podcast number 4. Today we are joined by a very special guest, Daniel Kaiser. So, Daniel, what would you say to a father who doesn't care about his kids at all and ignores their wants and needs?
Sauce. That's trash. Personally, that is beyond dumb. And actually, when fathers leave their children have a 7%. Or wait, no, they have a seven. Wait, they have a 7 times more chance of taking extremely harmful drugs. And on top of that, I mean, Victor's trash and Mr. Ramsay's trash. So we both know where that one's going.
Great answer, Mr. Kaiser. Why would you say that Mr. Ramsay is a joke of a choice?
Well, I mean, Mr. Ramsay, constantly being pessimistic, not a cool dude. He's caught up with his wife. His wife is literally wearing the pants in that marriage. Not an alpha. The dude is always just he's just kind of he's floating around through life without actually making any good choices. And to the campaign, I mean, personally, I don't know about you, but like I think a majority of the class absolutely hated that book because it's very dull, and yet you still are trying to get people to vote for you. It's not going to happen, okay? You're going to be getting just about as many votes as Amy Klobuchar, aka like 6%. Okay, so just leave. Get out.
Thank you.
Next question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaiser. Before the next question, I just want to shout out our sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. It's the biggest mobile game of 2020. You guys know all about it. So take some time and check them out.
All right, Mr. Kaiser, I have a quick little question for you. All right, I'm just going to read this little quote that I have from vote.ramsay on Instagram, and they were responding to your comment as well. And I quote,
I would love to see this.
"If more people in the world strive to achieve perfection, what a better world it would be." Mr. Kaiser, would you call this hypocrisy?
I would say this is the dumbest statement I think my ears have ever heard. You could probably search up Google, okay? You go to the thesaurus, you look up dumb questions, or excuse me, the encyclopedia. You look up dumb statements. This is going to pop up. I'm sorry. People throughout history have been trying to strive for perfection, and yet they've completely destroyed other civilizations. For example, the Nazis. They were pushing for absolute perfection, and in the wake of that, they killed millions of people and destroyed the Deutschland, the pinnacle of the perfect country. So, I mean, people saying, oh, yeah, if everyone's trying to strive for perfection, it's not happening, buddy. As long as there's human nature, when people are striving for perfection, they're just going to completely destroy the world while they're at it. So, I'm beyond all that stuff. I think people commenting things is just really childish. Personally, I try to keep it to a minimum, even though I'm not involved in this. Even though I'm not involved in this at all, and I'm completely impartial, I think that actually, like, convincing yourself that Mr. Ramsay is actually a viable candidate would be like convincing yourself of like that, like a shark is like a fish or something. It would be. It's not equal. A shark does not equal a bass. Okay, you're trying to hype him up so much. You're trying to hype up, a little. You're trying to hype up a little, hey, maybe a hammerhead shark. Well, buddy, like, I hate to tell you this, but like Prospero is literally like the great white. He's an absolute G. He's the best of them all.
Dude, Mr. Kaiser, I couldn't have agreed anymore. I mean, the whole comment is just it's hypocritical. I think Mr. Martinez runs the account, and he says if more of humanity tried to say one nice thing a day instead of another person, they see what a better world it would be. Can I get your thoughts on that one as well?
Being nice does not equal being good. And a prime example of this would be our Lord and Savior, Donald John Trump. He's not a nice person, okay? Some people think he's mean, but at the end of the day, he gets the job done, okay? And being nice and being politically correct and all that, it doesn't mean anything. People are just trying to pander for votes at the end of the day and saying, oh, well, our guy is nice. That's not going to happen, okay? It doesn't matter in the long run. Like literally every single leader of the United States who actually has had an impact is usually not a truly nice person. For example, Andrew Johnson, one of my favorite presidents of all time. He threw a rager the first day he got into the White House, and they literally had to throw people out of the White House. That is leadership. That is somebody who is not nice, but actually makes a huge impact on the country. And Prospero, yeah, I mean, you could say, oh, Prospero's not nice. But at the end of the day, Prospero's getting the job done. He's a wizard, dude. Like, step up.
Dude, Mr. Kaiser, that was one of the smartest things I've ever heard in my life. And the great Michael Jordan once said, if you don't want to play that way, don't play that way.
I agree.
All right, amazing, Daniel. I have loved the responses that you've said. But here we go. I have another question for you. Who would, because you're a political person yourself, you know, you follow politics, you follow the world, so you know a lot of political figures. So who would you compare the other candidates to in the political world?
Well, this is a heyday of a. I'd like to take this moment to I would say Prospero is like Luke Skywalker, and I would say that. Yeah, Mr. Ramsay's Darth Vader. He has some daddy issues, okay? He's the father, right? But absolute trash. Abandoned his children. I would say Prospero is like Steve Will Do It, and I would say that Victor is like 905 Shooter. Once again, we have a prime example would be another good one. I would say, let's see, yes, Prospero would be John F. Kennedy, and Victor Frankenstein would be Lyndon Baines Johnson. Donald Trump would obviously be Prospero. He gets the job done. He actually had unemployment at the lowest rate and is actually getting the most testing kits for the COVID-19 to the people of America, aka best country in the world, far better than any other country. And I would compare. We'll say Mr. Ramsay is Hillary Clinton, kind of just very passive person, just kind of gets told things, or maybe even Joe Biden. I mean, just kind of not that smart, kind of dull. Maybe the knowledge of a very smart dog. Probably not up there with the rest of humanity. The guy's just kind of. He's floating through life. He's not really actually. I mean, he doesn't really make any change for his family. And another comparison, I would say, Prospero is like Kanye West, and we could say Victor would be like George Bush. There's too many comparisons that actually matter. And I would just say generally, like, I mean, personally, I think that Prospero is like an alpha. I mean, he's like Gandalf, dude. Like, he has wizard skills. Like, and name one other person you know who's like a wizard other than like David Duke. Like, the guy is a straight beast. Okay, he has like straight up wizard powers. He's get like Gandalf. 2, he's like Harry Potter. 3, he's like Radagast the Brown, also from J.R.R. Tolkien, one of the best authors of all time. I mean, just generally, like, I think Prospero is just the most alpha. If you put them all into a room together, Victor's just gonna start crying and run away, and Prospero's gonna put a spell on them all, and Mr. Ramsay's just gonna think about how smart he is and how self-centered he is, and not think about his kids at all because he sucks. Okay, next question.
Danny, I could not disagree with any of those. They just all make sense. Final question. Who are you voting for and why?
Oh, well, I mean, through this entire process, most of the campaigns have been actually really bothersome, at least in their pestering about voting. I can count at least 5 messages I got from people from the other teams. Just kind of annoying, honestly. But I would say Prospero, just because he's an alpha, he's a dog. He has his own island. I mean, Victor married his sister. I mean, Alabama, except it's in Hamburg, Germany. Just the guy is not actually like worth anything. Okay, like the dude is smart. Okay, yeah, like there can be a lot of smart people, many smart people throughout history, but Prospero is just the guy who's a stand-up dude. He's a wizard. He's a dog. Plus, like, out of all of the novels we read, I mean, To the Lighthouse's plot was like blander than like tofu. Like that stuff was trash. Okay, that plot line was so bland. I couldn't stand it. Uh, I mean, Frankenstein was cool, but like just so far fetched, would never happen. But my man Prospero coming out there, he's wizard powers, big stick, big. He's a huge beast. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say. I mean, really, like it's not a hard choice, and I think we shouldn't be going off of what people think, or like I don't think people should be voting on who they think is nice. I think they should be voting on who's an absolute G, who's an absolute dog. I mean, throughout like history, you know, like the people who are dogs usually aren't the people who are going to be the people who are bowing down to others and be going, oh yes, Mrs. Ramsay, you can do that, or oh yeah, go ahead, you know, like just taking it from all the other characters throughout the entire book. They're always taking it. They're never the alpha in the book. They're always the guy who's just being like, oh well, my monster told me to make another monster. Well, I guess I have to do what he says. You know, like the guy is an absolute dweeb. He can't even be truthful with his own family. So I don't even know what more. He's about as truthful as Bill Clinton, for all I'm concerned. That dude is absolute trash. Like Mr. Ramsay is so bad. I think that Mr. Ramsay, if you cut him out of the book, no one would give two shnikes. The guy literally is so pointless. Victor Frankenstein, on the other hand, marrying his sister, like I just oh my lord, like you don't even like even in the Old Testament, the Jews were saying, okay, like you're trash if you have like incest, like just you get out, and those were literally the same people who were like giving offerings to the god Baal. Like these people were absolute degenerates, and yet they still recognized that incest is just absolute trash. And if you vote for Victor, like you're supporting incest, and you're just a straight up Alabama Dixieland cousin lover. That's all I have to say.
That was actually probably the best podcast we've had. I'm gonna pass it off to Giancarlo here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kaiser. This has been an absolute delight, inspiring us with your comments and helping us really recognize who the true alpha is. Thank you so much, Mr. Kaiser. This was podcast 4. Everyone go subscribe to Prospero Powell on YouTube. Hit that notifications button. And
I may say one last thing. I would like to show everyone who is actually winning. 20 votes. Prospero's the alpha. Everyone else is a straight up beta. I mean, it's not a hard choice. Vote Trump, vote early, vote often. Just do not degenerate yourself and vote for these absolute betas. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, boys. See you next time.